Network. Welcome to Ballin Game 3 review with Alex Campbell, Drew Ebanks. Well, Drew Ebanks doing Drew Ebanks thing, combing his hair on point on location. If it's on point on location, there's a finals. He should be here. Disgusting individual, Drew Ebanks. Anyways, glad that somebody maybe better than him, but I can't call him Captain Canada. Alex Campbell here. Game 3. Well, you can see it on the scroll. Denver 109, Miami 94 in Miami. I'm on the court here in Miami. But we got to talk about my good friend, the best center probably in a long, long time. 32 points, 20 rebounds, 10 assists. Nikolai Jokic, go ahead.
Yeah, what else can I say? I actually, wrote an article on the Fired Up Network earlier this week and called him the most dominant big man since Shaq. And I don't really mean it in the exact same sense that Shaq, dominated. It's just different. I believe that he's the NBA's first point center. We've had point forwards in this league for a little while now. I think he's truly the first point center. He's pretty much cemented himself as arguably, at least one of the top two with Arvydas Sabonis passing big men of all time, and he's probably the best. We're just hesitant to say that because he's still got so much to go. And then he bounces back with a game like this. I mean, I know he scored 40 points in the last game, but the Nuggets really are best when he's a distributor, and now he bounces back. And like you said, had 32 points, 20 rebounds, and 10 assists. And by the way, that's the first 30 and 20 nights in the finals since Shaquille O'Neal.
Who? Never mind. But taken away, he had an amazing game. But the Canadian, his teammate, had a great game as well, and nobody's talking about that.
Yeah, nobody is. And what's amazing is that everybody praised Coach Spoelstra's brilliance with adjusting the lineup, putting Kevin Love in, which ended up allowing them to get Jamal Murray and pretty much one-on-one with Jimmy Butler. And so Butler's on Murray for most of the night. Miami didn't play a whole lot of zone, except for, in the second half, they got into a little bit, but, he really actually didn't lock him down like he did in the first game. I would say lock him down. But you got to admit that Murray, scoring less than 20 in this series in that last game, he was pretty quiet. But in this one, it's like he just took it to another level and was playoff Jamal Murray again. And him and Jokic just played great together. And I think, and we talked about it before we went on here, but really the key here, the role player that really stepped up this time, because it wasn't KCP, and it wasn't Michael Porter Jr. It was Christian Braun. What a game for this kid who barely made the start, barely made the lineup, barely made the trip to the finals, out of Kansas, drafted a couple of years ago. What a game from him with 15 points tonight.
Yeah, and just proves that we talked about this, that Malone never uses rotation players, and he went actually too deep, I think, today. He went too deep today, so he's using rotation players, and the rotation player or the bench players came up big. But do you really need, when you have Murray 28 points or what did he have? And
32, I think.
Yeah, 32 and 32. So 64 between those two guys. And
then 34 for Murray, my bad.
34, so 66 points. And unbelievable. But then you have somebody come out of the woodwork, and this is why it enabled them to pull out the victory, and convincing victory, put it that way.
Well, this is, I believe, what makes the Nuggets the title team right here. In most of my sports fandom and most of my life, NBA final teams that end up winning normally have what I call the holy trinity of basketball, and that is you have great guard play, either from a 1 or a 2 guard. You have a big man that can at least be an elite rim defender and a rebounder, if not more than that, and something on the offensive end. And you also have a great wing player. And really what the Nuggets have done is they have, like I said, the first true point center who has a great relationship with the point guard and Murray. Those are really the two main drivers of the offense. And then it's pretty much a revolving door of who's going to be the wing player every night. But somebody always steps up. It's like one of these 4 people is going to step up. And if they don't, we're going to just, pluck a Christian Braun off the bench and he's going to step up. So it's like they maybe don't have that key wing player to fill that role constantly, but they have enough guys in rotation and someone almost always fills that void.
And let's face it, look at the other side. Miami coming back, winning game 2, coming at home. and they gotta be disappointed there.
Gotta
They
be.
gotta be they're playing at home. The crowd, DJ Khaled, he was supposed to come here and sing with me. Oh, so let me never mind. But anyways, Miami fell flat from the beginning of the first quarter till the end. They put
Yeah.
in the second quarter a little bit of a run, but the all game Denver had it, and Denver had it going away.
Yeah, all game really Denver had it, and they especially laid it on in the second half. They really took off in the third quarter, and went on that big run. I ended up somewhere like halfway through the fourth. They said they had pretty much doubled up the score. I outscored them 42-24 through the second half, which is just incredible. And really, it's like the opposite of what you think should happen is what happened with Miami tonight. I really thought, and I wrote this before the game, that they would go back to Miami and the role players would play better than they did in Denver, and that it would be a tight game because of that. When really it almost looks like those role players, guys like, I know Strus hit a big shot down the stretch, but that was the only shot he hit. I know Duncan Robinson had a big shot in the fourth quarter, but he only scored 9 points in this game. Caleb Martin only scored 10 points in this game, and I know that, like, again, these are undrafted players, and veteran, guys, journeymen that have bounced around, but still, it's like they came back down to earth here when they've been playing so well in the playoffs, and that really definitely is a large part of the reason they're here in the first place.
All right, before we continue with the NBA Finals here, you're in Boston. How's the fog or weather? Because in New York, they canceled the Yankee game and they're playing in Canada. And they also canceled the New York Liberty game, WNBA. That's in an arena. So how's the weather? You're in Boston. How's the weather there?
I've heard all about it, but I haven't seen anything from it, honestly. I haven't seen anything
You
locally
love
here. Anything that's been
Canadians. See, you
canceled.
love Canadians. Unlike New
Yeah.
Yorkers who don't like. But hopefully everybody is safe and everything like that, and hopefully the weather improves a little bit. And don't blame Canada, eh? Don't blame Canada.
I'm
All
not
right.
blaming Canada.
Yeah. So before we get back to it, we touched on it a little bit in our group here. You want to tell everybody about some guy named Zion Williamson?
Oh boy. Zion Williamson. By the way, like, let me just start with this with Zion. He played 24 games this year. I mean, that to me, like, the story that follows that came out today means very little other than maybe a few jokes on late night television. If he ends up playing and gets that team to a playoff run or anything like that, the reality is he didn't. So now this becomes fodder. Now it looks bad, and so there's this gender reveal celebration that was posted on Instagram, I believe, by Zion Williamson's girlfriend or fiance, whatever, and this comes out on social media, and then an OnlyFans star who's basically an adult film star starts going off on this post, talking about in great detail, gory detail, the nature of her and Zion's relationship only a week before that. And it just looks bad. I mean, there's nothing illegal here, but it looks really bad.
And the NBA, on top of that, it does look bad, but nothing illegal. But John Morant, I don't have to tell you. Now Zion Williamson, these two guys are the lifeblood of the future for presumably for the next 10 years. All right. But we got to go from youngster to old timer. And this is set up for one team. You know where I'm going with this? Chris Paul. It's set up only to sign with one team and get your banana boat ready in Los Angeles because I know LeBron. But wait, LeBron's making a call to Chris Paul, but Kyrie Irving's making a call to LeBron. Who's making a call to, like, what is going on in the NBA here? Like, unbelievable. We talk about Zion, we talk about John Morant, we talk about Kyrie Irving, we talk about the coaches making $12 million a year. Like, and still the only team that doesn't have a coach is the Raptors.
That's right. The only team that doesn't have a coach is the Raptors. You got the highest paid coach in NBA history is the one that didn't win a title that got a job this year. It's bizarro world. And not to mention the athletes are pretty much deciding they want to play with their friends. And it's funny because you kind of see the same thing in the NFL. You look at DeAndre Hopkins right now, and he's basically like, well, I only want to go here, and here because I want to play with this guy, or this guy. And it's like, okay, well, you're an employee of an organization. Like, you're an employee of a company, essentially. Like, it doesn't work like that for us normal folks who are employees of companies. You know what I mean? You can't just like demand a trade. Like, well, you can just demand the unemployment line then. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
that's kind of how that goes. And yeah, yeah, I think Paul
Unbelievable.
though likely will end up in LA. I just don't see a better fit for him elsewhere. I've heard talk, even locally of Boston. I just think anywhere else is not really a great fit because he's just not the player he once was, but he is going to be super effective in spots. Just like he was in Phoenix, and the Lakers have an organization that's going to be pretty focused on load management for really all three of those guys if they end up playing together, and should be able to fill in with a few of the other, bench and the depth players when those guys are out, because they're probably going to be one of the most experienced teams at it.
I know this is NBA, but I gotta touch on, since you talked about NFL today.
Yeah.
It was released, and you know where I'm going here. It was released that some Buffalo Bill, the first time ever, a Buffalo Bill on the cover of Madden
Yeah.
24. It's Josh Allen, hopefully, and I will destroy somebody in Madden if we have the Madden curse. All right, we are going to go to the Super Bowl talking about Buffalo Bills. All right, but Josh Allen, congratulations on the cover of Madden 24. All right, so let's look a little bit to Game 4, which happens on Friday at 8:30. For me, it's do or die for Miami. If they go down 3-1, this series is probably over in 5. All right, because there's no way they're going to beat Denver again.
Yeah.
Okay, so if they go down in Game 4, it's Game 5. The championship that Larry O'B is going to be awarded to Denver. So, do you think Miami comes out gunning and knowing it's their back is against the wall, all the cliches, it's do or die or whatever, and do you think they pull it out?
Yeah, they've really got to give it everything they got in this next one, just like you laid out. I think if they lose this next one, it's over. They don't have the capacity to bounce back and reel off 3 straight games in this series. They just don't. So they're gonna have to win this next game if they want to have a chance. And I mean, one thing I noticed tonight is they allowed just that kind of, they had the same lineup they did. Supposed to kind of tried the same trick with Kevin Love, but they allow the entry pass right at the top of the key to Jokic time after time after time after time. It looked almost like the old Phil Jackson triangle offense where they throw an entry into Longley and he just looked behind him and in cuts Jordan, and there we
Yeah.
go. You know what I mean? And it was kind of that same ball game where they'd let Jokic orchestrate the offense right there from the top of the key. They've got to deny that entry pass. I mean, that is crucial. That sets up the entire offense. You've got to put more pressure on the ball handler to try and deny or disrupt that entry pass, or at least disrupt the flow of that. And I feel like they did a better job of that in Game 2 and a much worse job of that in Game 1. And so that has to be there. And like I said before, those role players, like somebody has to step up. We talked
Yeah, but
about Christian Brown.
sorry for
Yeah.
for Miami, and I'm going to say this throughout the 3 games. Okay, Jimmy Butler has not been playoff Jimmy since
Yeah.
he trademarked his shirt playoff Jimmy or whatever. Jimmy Buckets play. He hasn't played playoff Jimmy. He's gone back down to being whoever Jimmy. All
Regular
right.
season, Jimmy. Yeah.
Yeah, whoever. No,
Yeah.
whoever Jimmy sounds better. But if Miami is going to win and going to make this continue a series, he has to show up on. Okay, so you have Murray scoring 30 points and you have Jokic. Okay, but somebody has to come and basically, okay, Jokic scores 32 points, 10 rebounds, whatever. Okay,
Mhm.
Butler, you're supposed to score 32 points and let the other guys from Miami basically take away Murray there. But Jimmy Buckets hasn't been buckets at all, missed
Yeah.
buckets during this series.
And you're right. I mean, and he's got to be aggressive, and he's got to try to take the ball to the rim more often. That's going to open up more looks. For some reason, he's been a lot more hesitant to drive the lane. You saw a lot of it, a
Yep.
lot more of it in Game 2. None of it in Game 1. That's the whole team only shot 2 free throws, and then tonight, it was like kind of in between where
Yeah.
he did a little bit, but he also settled for jumpers in a lot of cases. In my opinion, he cannot be settling for jumpers. He's the only guy that can really get that first step off and suck the defense in and force them to help from the perimeter. And that's what is going to get those guys like Duncan Robinson and Max Strus and Gabe Vincent. Those guys get open looks from the perimeter that they can just drain from three and get them going. And that's another thing I think is important. They have to get those role players going early. We saw that worked in game 2. If they can get early looks for those guys, they tend to get more involved and in a rhythm, and that's when they end up getting more help. But they have to work to do that. But it all really starts. And the other thing I'd say too is, like you said, you've got Jamal Murray who's going to go off for 30 some points. Nikola Jokic who goes off for over 30 points. And Bam is not going to crest 30 points. He's just not. He's not that hot level of an offensive player.
22 today, I believe.
22 today. 20. I would say 25 to 28 is probably his max, because he's not that versatile on the offensive end. He's a good offensive player, but he doesn't have enough tools in the toolbox to be a 30-point guy. Yeah. So that means that Butler on those nights is going to have to go for 35, 40 if they really want to have a chance. And he's capable of it. We just haven't seen it.
Yeah, we haven't seen it through. And let's face it, Friday's game 4 already. So when is he going to be playoff Jimmy, right? So because if Butler scores 22, 23, 24 points, that's what you expect. So he basically sides off with Murray. But if Jokic scores 35 and Butler scores 20, there's why you lose by 15 points.
Yeah, exactly.
Period.
And there's just nobody else on the Heat that can get their own shot. He's really the only one, especially with Hero out. I mean, they need like max level production from him.
And that's the other question I was going to ask you, because we talked about Hero coming back, even maybe game 7 of last round and maybe game 3 of this round. There was no talk of him today. Now, because Miami's back is against the wall, do you think he shows up on Friday?
Well, if there's going to be a time to get him out there, then it's got to be game 4, right? I mean, it only stands to reason that you just got to use every arrow in the quiver. You know what I mean? And so he's got to be part of the plan. I've seen him in warmups. It's been said that he's been shooting great in practice. It was a hand injury to his shooting hand, so you don't really know, but they do best to get him out there and see if maybe they can pick up 10, 15 points from him. I don't know if I'd throw him in the starting lineup, but like, you've got to give that, like we talked about before, you've got to get this next one everything you've got. The only thing I'd be cautious about is that Hero is at best a liability on defense when fully healthy. Yeah. I am not sure how great he'll be when not healthy fully.
All right, so that's it. Who surprised you today? Also, take away Jokic, take away the person we talked about and Murray. Did anybody in Denver do something unusual for you?
Yeah, I felt like KCP was disappointing.
That's what was going on.
Yeah, like unusual in a bad way. I for a veteran that I would say is probably pretty hungry and thirsty for a ring. I would expect a bigger effort. He ended up missing a lot of shots and turned the ball over several times. I fully expected KCP to have a better showing than this.
And this is not just today. This goes throughout the year and all that. Jokic is a triple-double machine. Why isn't somebody there fouling him or crowding him or whatever to let him get some early fouls earlier on, maybe 3 fouls in the second quarter, so he has to rest 5-10 minutes, and then you take over the game? Because this guy, he takes over the game no matter what. With 30 points, 20 rebounds, 10 assists, you're not your typical center. And this guy, and I'm going to tell you right now, whether he should have won the MVP this year and last year and the year before and all that, but tell me, I see him getting better and better and better than he was. He's getting older, but he knows his spots. He knows where to hang out. He throws it behind his back with a special assist and all that. Like, this guy's getting even better.
No, he's absolutely amazing. Like I said, I think it's a new position he's created as point center. I'm not trying to coin that phrase by repeating it. I'm just saying that I think it's that exceptional that he's carved out a whole new position in the NBA. By the way, nobody else plays it. That's the other thing, is that nobody else really plays it. He's the only one. And so it's just incredible to watch. And I agree with you that he's only going to get better. Look how young Murray is. And they're gonna keep playing together for a long time. That relationship's only going to grow. they're going to be a force in the West for a long, long time. Look, even if down the line they both make first team All NBA, second team All NBA, something like that, and they both sign supermax deals, I don't think it's going to matter as long as they build around those two. They're going to be all right, because that's how rock solid it is. Like I said earlier, they're those that's the type that you can really just get solid wing play mixed in with that and win titles.
So, and like, let's face it, these guys are getting better, and all he needs is now, because the big question was, he never does anything in the playoffs. Now, if he wins a title, this guy's already a Hall of Famer. Forget
Yeah,
about the next 5-10 years where he's going to be more over the roof. But this guy, if he wins the title, should have won 3 MVP in a row. It gets triple doubles,
yeah.
and the guy's 6'10" or 7 feet. Like, unbelievable.
And
Unbelievable.
barring injury, he's going to be able to play a long time. His game is not based on athleticism. It's not like he's going to lose a step and fall
Yeah.
apart because he's not fast in the first place. I mean, he could barely jump up onto a curb, for God's sakes. His vertical is tiny, but he ends up getting shots over guys. It reminds me kind of like a very large Luka Doncic, the
Yeah.
way that he plays offense. It's at a slower pace, one that seems like it should be defensible. By the defense should be able to get in front of it, but they just can't. Both of these guys just get the exact right angle on the defense, just get the exact right moment of opportunity, and can score at will, basically. And with Jokic, add on to that he's one of the best passers, center or point guard or otherwise, in the NBA.
In Toronto, you called it Point Center. I'm going to call it Center Point. In Toronto, we have a mall called Center Point. There
There
you
you
go.
go. There you
All
go.
right. So again, Game 4 is Friday, June 9th, 8:30 in Miami, and we'll be back here hopefully with a pregame and a post-game show. And Alex is writing. He's so good. I gave him a new job. He's writing the NBA. It's about time to shine. Writing the NBA Finals and also writing the Stanley Cup Finals, which will have a preview tomorrow, and hopefully we're going to stay on the air for 17 hours. Marty Roberts and maybe the Greek, and you're more than welcome to come on, Alex here.
Yeah, I'll
I'm,
come on tomorrow.
I'm just going to ask you, since we're going to do a small preview here, who you like in that series tomorrow, heading back to Florida now.
Yeah, I like Florida to get one of the next 2 games. Kind of like I liked Miami to get one of their games at home, but the difference is they didn't steal one from Vegas on the road to begin. So I like Vegas in the series in the long run. It looks like, we talked about, a couple weeks ago, we talked about how, the Florida's basically been that buzzsaw that snuck into the wild card and has been able to, cut through the Eastern Conference, kind of like the old Giants in the NFL did, and, stormed their way to 2
Yes.
Super Bowls that way. It's been reminiscent of that, but it looks like they've really met their match in a bigger, stronger, and veteran laden Vegas Knights team.
Well, Miami, much like the basketball, Miami, their backs are against the wall. It's do or die tomorrow. They need Miami's down 2-1 in basketball, but these guys are down 2-0, playing their first game. I fully expect Florida to win. If not, this may also go 5 games. So it's interesting to see. Vegas and Vegas had timely goal. It's not like they had timely goals, but it's not like a 3-2 game. They won 5-2 and 7-2. So they went running away with these 2 games. So I expect tomorrow night's NHL Stanley Cup final game will be much, much closer, but I do expect Florida win. What do you say?
Well, I expect, like I said, Florida to win one of the 2. I'll take this one. I think their goaltending, they're Bob Ruskowski, he's gonna have a better game. He's gonna have a better game. I mean, he's not gonna get pulled in the second period this time. You know what I mean? He can't have that bad of a game. He in my opinion, he's every bit as good as Hill on the other side. He just hasn't shown it in this series yet. Hill has been fantastic though, for Vegas. I think so far he's really won that goalie duo. But yeah, I would say I would expect Florida to take this one. I think they're going to be up with the energy level and ready to go for this one. I just don't think they have what it takes to win the
All
series.
right, as we close out, look who shows up. All right, I'm going to ask him
Oh
something.
boy.
Yeah, look who shows up. Thanks for coming. Are you on point, on location? Don't you know the NBA Finals post-game show here is on the Fired Up Network? This is Ballin. Come on.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, I was out on the road watching the game.
Yeah,
Had to get back quick.
Wait, hold on. Alex, ask him how many wobbly pops he had. Ask him where was our wobbly pops. Ask him where was our burgers. I saw you hobnobbing on Instagram there. Come on.
That was last night. I just posted
last night. So tonight, there's also hobnobbing tonight. Last night you're watching what? Tonight, NBA Finals, you're expected to be here. What kind of example does Captain Canada show for Alex Campbell?
He's a man of the town, man.
Hey, man, I'm a busy guy. I got to get it all in, man. We got one life.
So, by the way, Alex, we got it all in. Thanks for coming out, Drew. You've been watching the Fire. Go ahead. Give me your thoughts as we close out, Drew. Go ahead.
Incredible game. I mean, what can you say? Has that 30, 20, 10 ever been done? I don't know.
32 points.
No.
20
never been done, right?
It's the first ever. It's the first ever, and it's the first time since Shaq did it for the Magic's 30 points and 20 rebounds in a finals game.
Unreal. And then Jamal, what did he have? 34,
10 and 10. Another triple-double.
Another triple-double. I mean, if this isn't the best duo in the NBA right now, maybe for the season, then what is? I mean, they got it done. Every time Miami tried to make their runs, Denver had an answer for them. A lot of length, too much length inside. You saw the missed rebounds, the missed shots, and then leading to rebounds on the offensive glass. They just kept tipping it up. Second effort, Jamal Murray near the end of the game takes that shot, bricks off the back of the rim, runs in, beats Jimmy Butler to it, picks it up and lays it in on the finger roll. Just they really made the adjustments, I think, this game, and it kind of was reminiscent of game one. Going up 2-1 now, they take the home court advantage back, but guess what? They got to go for the jugular right now. They got to say, we're going to take game 4 and go back and try to close it out in game 5. That's the mentality they have to have.
All right. So one other question, Alex, sit back because you'll be interested to see what he has to say about this one.
Okay.
Drew Ebanks, who is, very, very, he has fan sites. He's on point, on location, and all that. Give me your comments. Only fan sites. Give me your comments by Zion Williamson, because speaking from a guy who on point, on location, onpointbasketball.com, he has. By the way, I'll show you the pictures of Drew Ebanks' only fans. Only one fan can watch this. Drew, go ahead.
Man, I don't know what to say. I mean, they talked about that draft. They talked about who was going to go 1, 2, and 3. And isn't it crazy to think the guys that went 1 and 2 guys have been in the most trouble? And RJ, who, a lot of people knocked down and said he couldn't be number 1, who's kept his nose clean. He's there. And when you hear some of the stuff that, the ladies have written about Zion, you just have to kind of shake your head. I mean, how much money has he collected, guys, from New Orleans in the time he's been in the NBA? And last year, 29 games?
24, I think he said.
What's he really concentrating on? Obviously, a man can do what he wants to do. That's fine. But especially when you haven't played, you haven't showed your franchise, your fans, that you're dedicated to being healthy and dedicated to losing weight. It's pretty embarrassing, man, right now. And it's really something I never thought I would see from Zion, just because I was there when he came to Toronto with Duke, and from hearing everything that from RJ and stuff, like the guy was a model citizen, but maybe the limelight guys, the fame and fortune has gotten to his head.
Well, I just think first of all, and it's we're not going to be able to stop it, but I'm just going to openly complain about it anyways, because we got to stop doing it to these kids. We just got to stop doing it. We're doing the same thing to Victor Wembanyama right now. Right now, you got a young, impressionable kid that's going to come over here, going to hear that he's the greatest player of all time right off the bat, just like Zion did. And there's no protection against that when he surrounds himself with a bunch of friends that just want in on his money. who are going to tell him a yes to every decision he ever makes. That's not a good situation for a young person. I can tell you, young me wouldn't be handling $200 million guaranteed with a bunch of yes men around me very well. And I doubt that a young you or we would either. You know what I mean?
So, Alex, if you're going to give me $250 million, you will never see me. I'm in Hawaii in my own private beach, and that's it. Making only fan sites, okay? That's it.
I'm sure. But if you give Joe here $200 million, he's going to make better financial decisions than 18, 19-year-old Joe would with that $200 million.
Speak for yourself. Never mind. Okay, and like you said, John Morant, look at the trouble NBA, and now with this, I don't technically he didn't do anything wrong, or maybe he did wrong legally. I mean, like number one, number two, and then you have coaches who make $15 million a year, and the Raptors don't even have a coach. Like I said to you before, like the NBA, you know what they say. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. Drama. It's fantastic. All right.
It is.
Drew, anything else that you want to touch on? You were courtside for CBL, and tomorrow the Scarborough Shooting Stars are there. So go last couple of minutes with Canadian basketball.
Yeah, it wasn't the greatest. It wasn't the greatest result for Scarborough. They're 1-3 right now. A little tough.
Blame your shoes, Drew. It was your shoes.
By Converse, I had my Chucks on. It was great atmosphere, especially the home opener guys. It had actually shout out to the CBL, 6 sellouts for the week. They had almost 50,000 combined fans for the first week of play. And that just continues to show how much of in-demand basketball is in this country. It's a hotbed. It's growing. The fans are coming out. They're supporting Canadian players, the majority of Canadian players, which is great. And obviously you sprinkle in some American players, Cat Barber, Teddy Allen, Teddy Buckets, who went off for 42 points against Scarborough. And there's some other good American players as well. But, we welcome them to the fullest, and they love it here in Canada. So just want to continue to shout out, the commissioner, Mike Morale, the whole CBL crew, and just to see our Canadians, not only on the floor, but in management positions and coaching positions. It's tremendous. And you'll see, I think at some point, I know that TSN is broadcasting games, and TSN is affiliated with ESPN. So don't be surprised if you see some of those CBL games ending up on ESPN at some point. Canada went again with the U16s in action today against Brazil, took them down 3-0 in the first round. So we'll see what happens. America, Team USA has a very strong U16 team as well, with the Boozer twins on that squad. So it's going to be interesting to see if Canada can get to that championship game to face the USA. It's going to be a very, very hard one for them, but we'll see what happens. And the U19s are over in, where are they? Croatia? Yeah, for training camp. They lost a close one today, but they didn't have all the guys. Some of the guys like Mike Nwoko, he's a Miami commit, big time player in the inside. He just arrived there. So I think that U19 tournament, the U19 Worlds, Elijah Fisher, like there's some big time names on that squad. You're going to see some battles. And I hope, again, Canada can get to at least the semis and maybe battle for that gold medal. So a lot going on this summer. The women, the girls are going to be in action as well for those age bracket international tournaments. So we just going to keep rolling it along. That's how we do it. OnPointBasketball.com, On Point Basketball on Facebook and LinkedIn, and also TikTok, and Drew Ebanks on Twitter.
You didn't give your OnlyFans page.
We ain't going there.
Nobody does anyways. All right, Alex, go ahead. Tell them how to get a hold of you.
Yeah, I'm at FiredUp Alex on Twitter, at FiredUp Alex on Instagram, and I run the crossover series here on the FiredUp Network. Just started doing the Stanley Cup Finals review as well. I'm excited about that. Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm doing the Stanley Cup Finals post-game reviews too. So busy.
Joe's got those zeros behind you, man.
So today we're gonna. First of all, I want to ask Alex, Messi signing with Inter Miami. Anybody talking about that in the United States? And
Of
here
course.
they're talking, but
What about him turning down what he turned out? What?
Well, listen, he advised me, and I told him no. He $1.5 billion, and you know what he did with that $1.5 billion? He went and opened up an OnlyFans page.
Dang.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny about that? I heard this earlier. Messi has the number 2 most popular Instagram account in the world. The number 2 most followers in the world. Number 1 is Ronaldo, the other elite soccer player. Cristiano Ronaldo. Yeah.
And he plays in the Saudi. He plays Saudi now. He took a deal in the Saudi. So
what did he get? What was his salary?
He got $112 million.
A crown prince's ransom. How's that?
That's nothing. That's pocket change for On Point On Location. And also, some sad news to report today. The Iron Sheik, 81 years old, he passed away. So in honor of Iron Sheik, Alex and Drew, stand up. I'm going to sing the national anthem. I'm going to bring Nikolai Volkov here and sing the national anthem and all that. And I'm sorry, people are going to hate me. I'm the president of the provinces of Canada. But Iron Sheik was known for USA.
Yeah, I remember that.
So
Iran, number 1, right?
Yeah.
USA.
Very good. Very, very good. Drew now resembles the Iron Sheik. All right. So Iron Sheik, 81 years old, and he was a hero. And you know what? He was outside of wrestling. He was a good person and really cared about his family. He had 4 kids. Really cared. 47 years with his wife. 47 years. Like, wow. Passing away at age 81. So Iron Sheik gone. And by the way, tomorrow on the Fired Up Network flagship show, Fired Up Live, Clyde Drexler.
Clyde the Glide.
Yes, Clyde Drexler. And Tracy Murray was going to come on, but I told them Drew Ebanks probably not going to come on. He did not want to come on if Drew's not, because I told him Drew's growing out his hair and all that. He says he wants to see it, wants to take pictures of it. You got to send them your pictures of your hair for OnlyFans. All right. For Alex Campbell,
that OnlyFans.
Drew Ebanks again. Game 3 of the NBA Finals going to the Denver Nuggets. They lead 2-1. They actually run away with this one, 109-94. And once again, Jokic, 32 points, 20 rebounds, and 10 assists. Unbelievable. And let's give it to the Canadian boy, Jamal Murray. 30. What do you got, Alex?
34 points, 10 and 10.
34, 10 and 10. All right. And playoff, much like Drew, he mentions himself all the time. Playoff Jimmy Butler. He trademarks his new shirts and all that. Playoff Jimmy, what did he do today, Alex? What did he do today?
He was regular season Jimmy, right? He was ordinary Jimmy.
He was preseason Jimmy. Better show up with all the buckets on Friday, or else you're going golfing on Monday for Game 5. All right? All right, Drew, any last comments?
No, everything's great. I love basketball. I hope this series goes at least 6 games. The more, the merrier. And then we're going to run right into Summer League. And again, like I said, so many international competitions for both the men and the women, as usual this summer, including the World Cup of Basketball. And hopefully our Canucks can finally get back to the podium and get up there and do some damage and face off against Alex's team, USA, for the gold medal in the World Cup of Basketball. That's what I want to see.
I gotta go.
The next miracle on ice.
Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade are calling me with DJ Khaled. All right, this has been Ballin on the Fire Up. Gabrielle, should I show you my OnlyFans page or what? All right, so there you go. Drew Ebanks. Oh, Zion showed you his. All right. Okay, Drew Ebanks, Alex Campbell. Thanks for watching Fired Up Network Ballin. Thanks a lot.